There are moments when God feels silent, not absent, quiet. You pray, but no answer comes. You ache, but heaven seems still. This silence is not punishment, it's mystery. A space where faith is stripped of comfort, and love is tested in the dark. But even in silence, God is near, closer than your breath. We want God to speak loudly, clearly, often. But sometimes, His love speaks in absence, not because He's far, but because He trusts us. Silence is not abandonment, it is the language of the deep. Like the space between heartbeats, like the stars in the night. Present, even when unseen. When God is silent, He is not gone. He may be writing something deeper in the stillness, something that requires our quiet to receive. We are not just waiting on Him, He is also waiting on us. To slow down, to listen with the heart, to hear the whisper behind the silence. Sometimes, silence is not God withholding, but God embracing. Like a mother holding her child in stillness. No words, just presence, just warmth. In those sacred silences, something shifts. You are not alone, you are held. Even without answers, you are being loved. We think silence means God is not answering, but sometimes He is answering, just not in words. Through stillness, through waiting, through the itself. God's silence often invites us into deeper listening, not louder speaking. Into presence, not performance. Maybe silence is where we stop trying to fix everything. Maybe it's where God does the real healing, not in our noise, but in our surrender. The soul does not grow by forcing answers. It grows by resting in the questions and letting God hold the unknown. When heaven is quiet, the earth feels heavier. But that weight is often where sacred things are born: a compassion, trust, depth. The quiet seasons of faith are where roots go deeper. Where truth becomes real, where love is refined by fire, not by ease. Silence is not the end of the conversation, it is the pause where eternity breathes. Don't fear it, enter it, let it stretch you, let it shape you. You are not being ignored, you are being drawn into a love that speaks without sound. Sometimes, silence is the answer to prayers we didn't know we asked, the space we needed but never chose. It strips us of noise, of certainty, and leaves us with God alone. Not the God we imagine, but the one who simply is. And in that presence, something eternal awakens. You don't have to understand the silence to be changed by it. You don't need all the answers to receive healing. Some things in the soul grow best in the dark, like seeds beneath the soil. Like stars unseen in daylight. Hidden, but real. Growing, even when you feel nothing. Silence is a doorway, not a wall. It's not there to trap you, but to lead you in. Into mystery. Into union. Into stillness, where love doesn't need explanation to be real. Don't run from the quiet. Walk through it. There is holy ground on the other side. The silence of God is never empty. It is full of presence, full of grace, full of love waiting to be felt, not by noise, but by surrender. When words fall short, let stillness speak. It knows things language cannot hold. God's silence is not His absence, it is His invitation. To come without words. To be without striving. Sometimes, the most sacred prayers are not spoken but surrendered. You don't have to say the right thing. You just have to show up, open, bare, waiting. In the silence, our masks fall off. We are seen for who we really are and loved anyway. Silence is not judgment. It's the sacred pause before grace flows in. The quiet moment before the heart says yes. There are things God can only tell us in silence, not because He's hiding, but because the noise of life would drown it out. His voice is like wind across water, like light breaking through mist. Subtle, holy, visible, unless you're still. When you sit in God's silence long enough, you begin to hear again, not with ears, but with the soul. The ache becomes prayer. The stillness becomes psalm. And even the tears become holy. Silence teaches us to stop performing for God, for others, for ourselves. In the quiet, there is nothing to prove, no role to play. Just the raw, sacred truth: you are already loved. You always were. You always will be. What if the silence is God loving you without interruption? Not demanding, not correcting. Just holding, just being. The silence of God might be the most tender form of love. The kind that doesn't shout, but surrounds. We fear silence because we fill it with our own voices. Of shame, of doubt, of fear. But silence is where God clears the room. He quiets the noise, not to abandon us, but to meet us face to face. God's silence doesn't mean you're forgotten. It means He is closer than you know, working in hidden ways. Healing in silence what words cannot touch. Trust the silence. God is not gone. He is working in the stillness. In silence, the soul softens, the defenses fall. And suddenly, you're not trying to fix yourself, you're simply being held. God doesn't need you to be impressive. He just wants you to be present. That's where the healing begins. Silence strips away the false gods of the need to be productive, liked, busy. It invites us to meet the real God. The one who dwells not in noise, but in nearness. You may not hear a voice, you may not feel a thing. But faith isn't always about sensation, it's about trust. Silence is where trust grows roots, deep and seen, unshakable. The silence of God is not cold, it is tender. It holds you while your heart breaks. It listens when no one else does. And slowly, gently, it restores what you thought was lost. Silence is not the absence of miracles. It is the space where miracles grow, quietly, like light in a womb. Trust what you cannot see. God is still working in your stillness, in your waiting. When words run dry, let your breath become prayer. Let your tears be your offering. God hears even the silence inside your silence. Nothing is wasted, nothing is ignored. One day, you will look back and see God was never far. He was in the silence, in the stillness, in the long, aching hours. And in every quiet second, He was loving you home. The silence of God is not the end of the story. It is the sacred beginning of something deeper. A place where love is reborn, not by noise, but by presence. So if you find yourself in the silence, stay long enough to hear what cannot be spoken. Let it wash over you. Let it hold you. In the silence of God, nothing is wasted, nothing is rushed. And nothing is ever truly lost, only transformed, only made new.